So in this tutorial we're going to be basically building something that looks a bit like this. Again, it's another Discord driven thing in that somebody asked how to get the sort of water effect, and I just kind of ran with it and ended up coming up with this. The regular viewers and the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that a variant of this has also become my new sort of summer indent or ident, however you want to phrase it. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to need is to get into Fusion. So if you come up to the effects library at the top here, make sure your effects library is turned on, go to effects and drag a Fusion composition onto your timeline. Mine defaults to 8 seconds, it's a good length, you need it at least around there, 8 to 10 seconds is good. So with your playhead over your Fusion clip, go into Fusion. Okay, so I'm going to turn on dual viewers, and the first thing we're going to want is our sun. So to get your sun, you come to your hotbar. At the very left hand edge you've got background, drag a background into your grid. You're now going to get an ellipse, again from the same toolbar, and pipe that into your background. And then if we drag background 4 up, we've got our sun. Clearly you don't want a black sun, so select background 4 and in the colour tab change solid colour to gradient. Linear gradient's fine. Now we just need to position the start and end points, which is a bit fiddly. Either end of your sun. And you can have whatever colours you want. So I will start with the bottom, which is the black, and we'll have a nice yellow for that, I think. And then the top one, which is your white. So just click on the little arrow to change which arrow you're working with. The arrow you're currently working with goes white as opposed to grey. And we'll make this a bit more orange, I think. I say this is just personal taste, however you want it, but yeah. Cool. Next element we had was our text. So again, come to your hotbar. Third from the left, you've got a T, which is your text node. And just for now, we'll put that into viewer 2 and type in whatever you want. Change your font. I use Rubik, which is a downloadable font. Just search Rubik font and you'll find it somewhere. Size it up. And what we'll do is we'll merge it over our background so we've got an idea of scale, and we'll put that into viewer 2. So that looks about right. Now what you can do with your text is you can make it a bit fancier. So if you come to the shading tab, again you've got your colour, if you change it to gradient, and you've got your dark side and your light side. So dark side is selected first, we will make that blue, and our light side we will make red, like so. And now just to make your text stand out, if you come up to where it says select elements, you've got a drop down, select number 2 and click enable. That puts an outline around your text. Now I don't want that red, I'm going to have that a nice sort of blue colour, I think, like that. So that's basically our main element. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge this onto a transparent background. So if we get background again, and this time we're going to drop the alpha channel, and we're going to bring the output of merge 1 onto the output of background 4 1. Don't know why it's background 4, but there you go. And nothing's changed, but what we can now do is add a mask to this. So we're going to get a rectangle, pipe it into the blue mask input of merge 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this all the way out to the edge, and we're going to drop it so that it's pretty much full screen, and then we're going to grab the little arrow in the middle and just drop it down to about there-ish, and then we're going to invert the mask, and we have this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to animate our sun. So if you come into merge 2, select it, make sure your playhead's at frame 0, and you're going to drop the Y value down so that your sun just disappears, and then you're going to add a keyframe on the center. Now you're going to come forward 5 seconds or 120 frames, in my case at 24 frames a second, and we're going to set this back to default at 0.5, and that will be your sunrise. So the next thing we're going to need is to get your reflection of this, and to do that we're going to use the transform node. So come up to your hotbar, in the middle you'll find transform, drag it onto your flow and connect merge 2 to your transform node. I'll pop that into this viewer. At the minute there's no change, but if you come to this area you've got flip, and you want to flip it vertically like so. After your transform node, to give some perspective, we're going to use a DVE node. To get the DVE node, it's not unfortunately on the hotbar, so if you press shift and space you get your tool select, type DVE, and now we're going to take a second output from merge 2 and we're going to bring it to the end and merge it onto the DVE node to create another merge node. Now what we can do is view this merge node in the viewer, and as you can see we've got both images one on top of the other. So come into your transform node and you're going to drop the Y value until your two images meet up. Like so. And then you're going to come into your DVE node and you're going to rotate the X, but before we rotate the X we need to move the pivot point so that this image at the bottom is rotating along this line here. So if we come to where it says pivot, and if you slowly increase the Y value, you can see the green cross in the middle of the screen, and we want to put that on our line. What's probably easier is if we just come to the transform node and drop it down a little bit more so that we've got a gap so we know where we're going, and we want to sit our cross on the line. So back to your DVE node, this cross here, and you want to get it onto your line like so. So now we can close that back up again. And now in your DVE node, if you go to X rotation, you can see it swings around that pivot point, and what you're looking for is somewhere around minus 60 to 70 degrees, I suppose, to give the impression of the surface coming towards you. Once you've got that, you can tweak your transform node to close your gap up again, like so. And now if we play our animation through, we get the sunrise and we get the reflection coming out with it. Cool. Okay, next we're going to add the water or the ripple effect, and to do that we're going to displace this bottom image. So select your DVE node, press shift and spacebar again and type displace. Now at the minute nothing's changed because you've got nothing driving the displace node. To drive the displace node we're going to use the fast noise, so back to your hotbar, second left you've got fast noise. Drag that in and pipe the output from your fast noise into the green input of the displace node, and you notice straight away that something's changed. But for our purposes not enough has changed. So if you drag your fast noise into your other window you can see what's happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to up the detail, we're going to up the contrast, and then we're going to unlock X and Y, and we're going to crank the Y value all the way up. It'll go up to 20, but if you type in the box you can increase that further to 50. And now you see that we're getting the sort of ripple type effect that we were after. And you can animate that slightly by coming to the seed rate and setting it to about 0.1. Again, you can play with this to get the effect you want, and you can also tweak the X scale a little until you get the kind of look that you want here. And now we get our sun rises, but it also rises on a rippling surface to give the effects of the water. So now that we've got that kind of where we want it, come back to frame 120, which is the end of our animation, and you can play with the DVE and the transform nodes to sort of close that gap up a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to put something in front of this anyway, but that's close enough for now. Okay, so the next element we had was the desert island. For the desert island I've got a PNG file that I found on the internet, and I'm going to bring that in not via the media pool but with the loader node. So shift spacebar and type loader. As you put the loader node in, it's going to ask you what you want to load, and in my case I want to load this PNG file. Give it a second and it will change to the name of the file that it's associated with. If we put that into our viewer, we have this, but if you scroll down, in my case it's huge. So what we need to do is scale that down so that it's usable. So the easiest way to do that is to again come to your hotbar, bring a background node in, merge your island onto your background node, select your background node and make it transparent by dropping the alpha to 0, and then you can view your merge, and as you see the trees are way off at the minute, so come into your merge node and just drop the size until it's somewhere like a usable size. So we're going to bring that, now we're going to take the output of this merge and we're going to put it onto merge 2. So what that's going to do is it's merged your island image over everything. So we can use merge 4 to kind of position and size our island so roughly where we want it. So we want it in the middle, and we can bring the size up a bit. Oop, a bit, Simon. So maybe about there, and then you can bring it up so that it sits on your horizon. Bring it across a bit. Now this particular PNG's got a bit of a lip there that's annoying, but short of masking it off somehow, can't really do that, we'll just have to live with it. What we can also do is come back to the transform node and just close up where you've got gaps. Like so, that's enough. And that's pretty much your final sort of image. The other thing that I did, and you'll want to do, is to bring this writing so that it's in front of your palm trees, not behind them. And the way I did that was I went to my text node, selected it, pressed Command and C to copy it, click over away from any nodes, and then Shift Command and V. And what that's done is it's pasted an instance of the text node. An instance is an exact copy, and any changes made to either the original or the instance affects both. However, we want to change the center value on this instance, the center of its position. So come to your layout tab, find center, right click and select D instance. Now we can change the center of this text node without affecting the original. What we want this to do is to follow the animation of the sun and the sunrise word. So to do that, we're going to tie the center of the instance text to the center of merge 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into merge 2, we're going to click on the little pin at the top. What that does is it means that these controls will stay visible if we select a different node. So we're now going to select instance text 1, and as you can see our merge 2 controls are still here. So in our instance text 1 part, we're going to right click on the center, select expression, and you see you've got this expression with a little plus sign next to it. What you're going to do is you're going to click and hold the little plus sign and drag it down to center of merge 2, and you get this expression in your window that says the center of text instance 1 is now the same as the center of merge 2. So now we can unpin merge 2 and we can click away from that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the output of our instance of text 1 and we're going to pipe it into the blue mask input of merge 4. And what that's done is it's now masked everything apart from the text, but you've still got the branches going across. What we want is that to be the other way round. So come into merge 4, come into settings and tick apply mask inverted, and that masks our island where the text sits, and because it's tied in to the merge 2 center, this text instance will move with your animation, and so you have your overall effect. Sorry, my machine's chugging a bit today, but you get the idea. The final thing I did was I had a background node onto my media out. So if you come to your hotbar, select background, bring it down the bottom, pipe it direct into your media out, and you end up with a black background. What we want is a background that changes colour over the length of the animation. So at frame 0 we indeed want it to be black. So what we can do is keyframe colour, come to frame 120, and now we pick a colour that we want the sky to end up being. So some sort of nice shade of blue. Again, personal taste, pick your blue. So now what happens is, as the animation comes along, so effectively it's just sun rises, your sky gets blue. Now we can take our output from merge 3, pipe it onto our background, and we now have our animation. So as the sun starts to rise, your sky starts to lighten, and there you go, you get the idea. The final thing I did was I added a colour corrector after this background node. So select background node, come to your hotbar, not a colour corrector, sorry, a brightness and contrast. Find brightness and contrast and click it. What we can do with this is at frame 120, so we can see what we're doing, we can actually drop the brightness a little bit. Now, of itself, that doesn't look right. The reason I've done that is if you then come to your hotbar and get a rectangle, and again pipe the rectangle into the blue mask input of your brightness and contrast node, you see that it only now affects part of the screen. And what we can do is bring it to the whole length of the screen, grab your arrow and bring it down to your horizon, about there, and just ever so slightly soften the edge. In fact, it's better if we just click away so we can see the edge. And what you're trying to do is just blur this line between the sky and the sea. And again, come into your brightness and contrast and adjust it to where you want it really. It's just so that you get some obvious differentiation between the sky and the sea. And that is that. So if we now jump back into the edit tab and let our animation cache, now if we hit play, we get our animation. So yeah, that's it. That's kind of the basis of my new summer ident screen. Hope you found it useful. Hope you like it. As usual, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button and notification, and I'll catch you on the next one.